You may be seated.
The Secretary will now call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
My mother had a magnet on the refrigerator that said, "Blessed are they who are flexible, for they shall not break." So we're already making our first modification here before we call the roll. The Executive Committee has asked that the Veterans Day, that we take just a few moments to acknowledge and spend specific time thinking in terms of our nation and what it is that's at stake with regard to the day that we have set aside nationally to recognize our veteran community. In a recent speech, Oklahoma's own General Tommy Franks caught the essence of war. When asked about war, he said, and I paraphrase, "War is bad. We ought to enter and fight on our terms, and it should be ended as quickly as possible and our troops return home to a parade." Another Oklahoma favorite, Will Rogers, is quoted as saying, "We can't all be heroes. Some of us have to stand on the side and on the curb and clap as they go by." With our moments of recognition today, we join thousands of parades across the nation to honor those who have served our nation as members of the military. His life story goes from rebellion and renegade through resistance and resilience to redemption and reward. Laura Hillenbrand, in her book entitled Unbroken, describes the World War II experience of Torrance, California native, the late Louis Zamprini. On a search and rescue mission, his aircraft crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Surviving the crash in 47 days and more than 2,000 miles adrift in the ocean, his raft found the Marshall Islands. There he was captured by the Japanese and was held for more than 2 years as a prisoner of war. The war ended just days before he was scheduled for execution. That was Louis Zamprini's story. Every veteran has a story. Their experience may not be as dramatic or as extreme as Louis', but it's important that we acknowledge each of them and honor their service and sacrifice. That is why we're taking a few moments today to recognize veterans. How could it happen? They were simply the best. Years of dedicated training destroyed in a split second. It was painful to watch. You remember Beijing, the Summer Olympics, 2008, the United States 4x100 meter men's relay team. A dropped baton in the third exchange zone and hopes of another gold medal were gone. You see, the most critical part of a relay race is in the exchange of the baton. Speed of individual team members is important, but the gold goes to the team that masters the exchange, and it's not easy. The exchange zone is small and the lane is narrow. The exchange occurs at top speed and without breaking stride. Our baton is represented by the values and traditions embodied in our core documents. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, gaining their just powers from the consent of the governed. Our baton is also represented by the principles found in our Constitution: federalism, separation of powers, checks and balances, and limited government of enumerated powers. Are we in danger of dropping the baton? For our nation to remain strong and endure, we must successfully transfer from one generation to the next the values, the traditions, the principles upon which our way of life is based. They must be defended against tyrants and embraced by each new generation. Our honored veterans have done their part. Young people in our House and Senate districts are the next generation to receive the baton. The ones extending the baton to them are veterans who served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, and the global war on terror. You read in the history books about Pearl Harbor, the Battle of the Bulge, the Battle of Midway, Iwo Jima, and D-Day. The World War II veterans that we honor today were there. You read about the Korean War veterans and the Battle of Incheon, Osan, Old Baldy, Pork Chop Hill, the Pusan Perimeter, and Choson Reservoir. The Korean veterans that we honor today were there. You read about the Vietnam War veterans who find it impossible to overcome the thoughts of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh Trail, the Tet Offensive, the Battle of Khe Sanh, Agent Orange, and surviving guerrilla warfare in a tropical jungle. Some of you were there. In war, the enemy must be defeated. Those who seek combat are called upon to do things no human being ought to do or see. Barbaric behavior, tyrants, and despotic rule must always be challenged and defeated. As Americans, we serve as citizen soldiers. We defend the American dream. We respond to the call of our nation and protect its interests. We serve, then we come home to build families, communities, and a nation. Those we honor today are our heroes. You don't see them wearing a jersey. They don't make posters of them for us to hang on our bedroom walls. They wore the uniform of our nation, and they deserve our respect. The generations of veterans that we honor today paid a steep price to preserve liberty. They need to know that the next generation is ready to be good stewards and custodians of that liberty that they have given us. Let me give you one quick example. I carry in my pocket a coin. It's a 2001 brilliant uncirculated Philadelphia mint penny. It's a constant reminder for me of the sacrifice of those who wear the uniform today, the sacrifice that they're ready to make to defend our nation. It was First Lieutenant Heather, call sign Lucky Penny, who on September the 11th, 2001, along with her commander, Colonel Mark Sassville, scrambled their F-16s with orders to intercept and bring down United Airlines Flight 93. That flight had been hijacked and was thought to be headed for either the U.S. Capitol or the White House. Having just returned from 2 weeks of training in Nevada, the planes were still equipped with dummy bullets. No live ammunition, no missiles, just the planes. As they struggled into their flight suits, the commander caught the eye of his wingman and said, "I'm going for the cockpit." Lieutenant Penny responded with, "I'll take the tail." Reports from those first responders at the Pentagon said that it was quite a boost of morale when they saw those two F-16s. Afterburners engaged, streak to defend against additional attacks. Fortunately, they never engaged Flight 93. It was civilian heroes like Todd Beamer and others on that doomed flight who kept the hijackers from completing their mission. Veterans, we salute you today. You can take comfort in knowing that the next generation is ready to accept the challenge of defending our nation against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. From we the people and a grateful nation, we honor all who have served, and we say thank you.
Do we have any veterans here? If you could please stand, we want to recognize you and show our appreciation.
Roll. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
As I call your state, will one delegate please stand and acknowledge that the state's present? Alabama. Alaska. Alaska was in special session, so we didn't have anybody from there. Arizona.
Was Alabama present?
Arkansas. California. Colorado. Connecticut. Delaware. Florida. Georgia. Hawaii. We did have one person sign up from Hawaii, but obviously they weren't able to make it today. Idaho. Great. Illinois. Indiana. Great. Iowa. Kansas. Here. Kentucky. Louisiana. Maine. Massachusetts. Michigan. Minnesota. Great. Mississippi. Missouri. Montana. Nebraska. Nevada. New Hampshire. New Jersey. New Mexico. New York. North Carolina. North Dakota. Ohio. Oh. Ohio. Oklahoma. Oregon. Pennsylvania. Rhode Island. South Carolina. South Dakota. Tennessee. Texas. Utah. Vermont. Virginia. Washington. Great. West Virginia. Wisconsin. Wyoming.
Wyoming is present and pleased to be here.
Great.
Okay, without objection, I move to dispense with the reading of the minutes and the treasurer's report, and move that they be accepted by acclamation. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved.
Well, with that, I get to welcome everybody. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. Thanks for coming. Maybe I should say good afternoon. Welcome to the Utah State House. There's a couple of